Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, traveling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, Detective Pikachu.
In the year 1996, Pokemon Red and Green hit the shelves. And 22 years later, we finally get a live-action movie.
In the year 1996, I was a junior in high school.
I was 6. I didn't come to the West for 2 more years.
So, yeah, what we're doing today is Detective Pikachu. This is Matt.
This is Luke.
And this is the Sci-Fi
Sanctuary.
You know, I don't know that much about Pokemon, so we needed to bring a guest in today who is an expert on Pokemon, which is Luke Summerhays from Luke Loves Pokemon. Hello, Luke.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thanks. Lovely to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Nobody call. Well, I guess people do call in if we count Skype.
Yeah.
Okay, there
but
we
we
go.
have to chase them up.
Who goes first on this one about entering this world of Pokemon?
I mean, I've talked already at length about my history of Pokemon, so I'm not going to say too much. Lifelong fan. From the day it arrived in the West, it's basically why I now live in Japan.
I watched Detective Pikachu a few nights ago.
You played Soul Silver that time?
No, HeartGold.
Oh, HeartGold.
See, I can at least call that much. Okay. No, you know what? I had fun playing it while I did. Got lost in the casino. Just started playing the game of chance and forgot how to do the actual game and never really got back to it. And then once I tried to play Pokemon Go, I've said this on your podcast, but yeah, and it was like before they had actually had it go online in Japan, so there were no Pokemon. It would just be standing on a vast, endless sea of green.
Pretty fun.
Existentialist Pokemon.
But I mean, yeah, you don't personally have much history with Pokemon, but you have lived in Japan for more than 10 years, and it is everywhere. So you must have developed some knowledge of it just through, like, osmosis.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, Pikachu and Mickey Mouse in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Draymond, too. Right? I wrote with the names because I thought Cybok was the guy from Star Trek V.
Psyduck.
Thank you. See, I don't know.
He's
I wrote
duck.
Cybok. This is my level coming in.
Yeah.
So I wrote, I know if you're noticing a Pikachu. I wrote Cybok. And I wrote Char something. And that was the deepest I could get.
Well, weirdly, you're probably more familiar with a lot of their Japanese names.
That's true, yeah.
So,
if
like,
I hear the Japanese...
Lizardon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's Charizard, yeah.
Yeah. So there's another part of the being in Japan for too long.
Yeah.
This is the first live-action Pokemon, right?
Yes.
Like, of anything. Have they done anything live-action before?
They had a stage musical.
No, it doesn't count. That's like the Spider-Man thing, right?
Okay. Oh, yeah, also this was in, like, the 90s. It was awful. They've done, like, a couple of, like, Super Bowl ads for the brand. But, yeah, basically, this is the first
Okay.
live-action anything.
So what was the buzz on this? It was a video game first, right?
Yeah, then there was a Detective Pikachu video game, which did okay, I think. But I think they just saw it as a good opportunity to backdoor in making Pokemon movies. Because if you start with, like, the main, you know, trainer goes out, all the big battles and stuff, that's a huge budget.
Yeah.
So here's, like, a slightly smaller scale, not really so much battling, not really about big teams of Pokemon, just one person, one Pokemon business.
And, you know, you can throw someone in the theater and they can at least sort of follow it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of little callbacks, nostalgia kicks, and things that are completely flowing past me. Because sometimes they actually have like a little ta-da, not, you know, filmatic version of that to show you that something cool has appeared, I guess. But I don't know what those things are.
Okay, but yeah, the film had a lot of buzz on the lead up to release because, yeah, it was the first live action Pokemon. People were pretty hyped seeing the footage and stuff. And then it did well, but it didn't like do phenomenal. But it also came out like a week after Endgame.
Yeah.
So, like, no film was going to do great there. It was, at the time of release, the highest grossing video game movie. I think Sonic had a better opening weekend.
Okay,
But again, didn't compete with Endgame.
That is
And had way less of a tail, I think. But also, you know, there might be a reason Sonic didn't have a long tail in the cinema.
I watched them. That is one thing, and I guess that's important for this movie because I watched it. I took a quick look at the wiki, and they're like, "Oh, it's the second highest because of Sonic. It's the second highest grossing video game movie." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a video game movie."
Yeah.
So it didn't really occur to me I was watching a video game movie until like after I watched it.
Well, even if, like, Detective Pikachu itself wasn't specifically a video game, Pokemon is, right? It's a Game Boy game first and foremost.
Right.
But now it's just like this big media empire. Like, it is the highest grossing media franchise now.
Well, no, I'm just saying watching it because
wild.
a lot of if you watch a Resident Evil movie, you're pretty, it's very ingrained. You're watching a video game.
That's what I mean, but Pokemon has become so much more.
Yeah.
You forget that it's just a game originally.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. It didn't occur to me for a while. This is definitely on the Ryan Reynolds train. I guess he's still riding his train at the moment. So, well, no one's riding the train because they're not making movies. But in general,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was like the Ryan Reynolds one that you can take your kids to.
right.
Although they also did that Christmas Deadpool release.
You only take kids up your maniac, though.
No, did you not see that one?
I didn't.
I haven't watched it, but no, they re-released, I can't remember if it's Deadpool or Deadpool 2, recut to be family friendly, and bookended with him, like, reading it as a storybook. I think with the kid from... What's another film where a kid's reading a storybook? It was the actor from that grown up to an adult, and Deadpool just breaks into his house and makes him read a Deadpool story.
That's cool.
Might be kind of fun.
All I can think of is Reading Rainbow at the moment.
No, it's like Princess Bride or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But that's not Christmassy, so I don't think
Oh,
it is.
like a never-ending story, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can follow along with that. So this one was mildly successful. Japan was, I feel like, must have done well. Did it do well here?
Is it okay?
Huh?
Is it okay here?
Okay.
I don't,
They get a movie every year, like,
yeah,
without fail, though.
I haven't checked this, but I would honestly not be surprised if, like, the animated Pokemon movie that came out the same year as Detective Pikachu did better.
I could see that. Though I guess I tried to, like, actually work out the story,
Okay.
which was a little more tangled once I got to that task, so I guess I'll do that.
Okay, hit us with it.
Tim Goodman is a 21-year-old insurance adjuster who has left childish things like Poke training behind since the death of his mom. Why he no longer even has a personal Pokemon. Detective Ken Watanabe gives the young man a call from Rhyme City, where Pokemon and humans live side by side in peace. It seems Tim's father, Harry, was not able to live in peace as he has apparently been killed in a car crash. Visiting his late father's apartment, Tim finds a Pikachu who has a dope hat but no memory and a purple gas, R, which drives certain Pokemon feral. I guess all the Pokemon feral. Pikachu assumes he must have been Harry's partner, and Tim and Pikachu set off into the city, searching for clues down weird avenues such as an encounter with Mr. Mime in an underground Pokemon battle arena where Pikachu had previously kicked some booty. A rematch featuring an R gas-boosted Charizard. Thank you. Gets interrupted by even more Pokemon accidentally being dosed with the gas, followed by a raid by the police. Next stop is the office of Howard Clifford, founder of both Clifford Industries and Rhyme City itself. He reveals to Tim and Pikachu that Tim's father is in fact alive. Howard's son Roger had artificially evolved a Mewtwo who took Tim's father and erased Pikachu's memory, apparently. Tim and Pikachu enlist aspiring Poke journalist Lucy Stevens to have a look at the lab where the R gas was developed. They have a run-in with an artificially evolved Greninja. Cool. Who mortally wounds Pikachu. Pikachu is healed by Mewtwo. It turns out Greninja was actually responsible for Harry Goodman and Pikachu's car crash. But don't get too comfortable with Mewtwo just yet. Howard Clifford reveals himself as the true evil mastermind. He takes control of Mewtwo with a neural link and begins to wreak havoc on Rhyme City. The R gas not only drives Pokemon feral, but in their confused state, it is possible for humans to merge with Pokemon and evolve as they do. Howard, too, proceeds to make all of the inhabitants of Rhyme City merge with their Pokemon by releasing the gas all over the city. Pikachu tries to handle Howard, too, with electricity, while Tim has a run-in with a Ditto before ripping the Neuralink helmet off the real Howard's head. Mewtwo is able to return the city back to normal, including Pikachu. In order to save Harry after the car crash, Mewtwo had fused Pikachu and Harry. With all of the fusing and mind wipes reversed, Tim is reunited with his father. Tim, Pikachu, and Harry are set to become a detective team in Rhyme City, while that plucky Poke journalist Lucy gets a full-time reporting job.
So this is actually a pretty traditional film for once, so we can just talk about characters and actors.
Yeah. That said, now I want to do story first.
Okay, we can do that. Here's my big question. Or two big questions. Do you follow everything okay?
I woke up this morning, I wrote it this morning, and I was like, what was it about? And I realized, I had to go look at the Wikipedia just to put the pieces together. But then I was like, it's like, it's a film noir plot.
Yeah.
It's complicated in that way. So, Maltese Falcon, Big Sleep, the Big Lebowski, right?
Okay. But like in terms of the Pokemon bollocks, that didn't just confuse you.
It's confusing in a way where you might look at the first movie of any burgeoning franchise.
Okay. And here's the other side of that coin. Did you ever feel like it was over-explaining stuff?
Like I said before, I think they were kind of like saying like, here's the thing. And I was like, what thing is this? It's just a thing.
Okay. No,
That's
because
kinda
the
where I
complaint
sat.
I've heard from other people is like, oh, they're explaining stuff, but everyone knows this. But I'm like, but some people just don't. And like the reason I'm so interested to talk to you specifically is I've only talked to people who already live and breathe and know Pokemon about this. Whereas Matt is just completely outside of that whole thing. So I'm really interested to see how this film held up for you.
It seemed like a quirky film noir. Now I can only think of a couple of the Pokemon. I mean, they're not shoving that many in our face and just telling them their names or their names, right? Yeah.
I feel like in terms of names they say out loud, there's probably less than 10.
Okay.
And then like there's only like 60 something different Pokemon in this of the 800 and something that existed at the time. Because obviously they can only create new like models and everything for so many, right?
Well, now I want to get to the plot, like you mentioned, kind of had that film noir.
Yeah.
And then there's a filter of two specific movies that I feel like this movie is also not ripping off, but definitely influenced by.
Go on.
First one's Roger Rabbit.
See, I don't feel that, but I can see why you would.
Yeah. So, okay, for me, all the Pokemon would be like that cartoon world, right?
Right.
I don't need every cartoon character explained. There goes a truck. Up here comes a car. There goes another truck. We're in a very cool place to record, but it has a surprising amount of traffic because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Where were we? Roger Rabbit. So, so maybe the cartoon world. I don't need all the characters in there explained. So, that's
Okay, that makes sense.
how I feel about this one. The other one, I'm not sure if you've seen Zootopia.
I'm aware of it. I never watched. I like half watched it because my sister watched it, I think.
I've seen it several times because my daughter was like 6 when it came out.
Right.
So that really, I felt like this one really hit the Zootopia button.
Okay.
Because the bunny, don't call her a bunny, excuse me, whatever. I usually have her name down, to be honest, but Judy Hopps, I think that's right. Anyway, you know, she's going into the city just as our human character is, and
Right.
the way that it's like the one city where all the animals live together, it's the one city where the humans and the Pokemon live together. The other thing is the predators are basically docile, right?
Yeah.
They live with the prey now. And it might even be a gas or something, or maybe it's a liquid, but there's something that drives them feral, which is pretty much the plot here.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not saying this movie at all, like just straight up ripped off Zootopia, but I'm pretty sure they'd watched it a few times when they got to making this.
I don't know how the dates for that work out when you consider the game.
Oh, when you consider a game. Oh, we got no service. We're not checking today.
Yeah, I can't remember when, but the DS game was a couple years before.
I want to say Zootopia is about
around
the
similar
same
time, I think.
Okay.
So it might just be straight up coincidence.
You say 17. Zootopia's 16.
Would have been pretty close then.
Yeah, they're about the same time.
Yeah.
So the video game plot is pretty much the same.
I haven't played it all the way through, but I think it's the same basic beats, but very different.
Okay. Like, honestly, it didn't really bother me if that's sort of kind of where they got the idea for this one. But
it's just that they both had the same... So they had the same issue where we want to present a world where these things live in harmony, but for the purposes of this story, we need to make them not be in harmony briefly.
yeah,
So they create this chemical that makes... Because in a normal Pokemon story, Pokemon don't need to be feral because it's about like this sporting battling thing, right? But they're trying to do this film noir version. So they need some silly sci-fi reason why the Pokemon go bad.
Yeah. Oh, and there is one more little kick to Zootopia. Because it's kind of like a weird remake of Chinatown for kids, minus the worst parts.
Huh.
Sorry, you said to say family friendly, so I'm not explaining the worst parts if you haven't seen Chinatown.
That's the Jack Nicholson one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I don't think I've seen it.
Okay. You should watch it, but...
We'll get onto this, actually, for a weird reason later. But I've recently become very aware that I need to watch more real films.
Well, and to your question with the story, I mean, someone coming in from the outside, it's a light film.
Yeah.
It's not, since I'm not in the world of Pokemon, it's honestly going to be a somewhat forgettable film. Pikachu in my mind is already returned to, pen and ink in my mind.
Right.
But I certainly did not have a bad time watching it at all. It's more of just
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to speak to you in the way it did me, but because I've only ever spoken to about other Pokemon people, I don't know. Does it explain things too much? Does it not explain things enough? Because I can't put myself in a position where I don't already know all of this.
with all
I've
this,
just sworn. All right.
I could beep you.
I can't put myself in a position where I don't already know all of this stuff.
I'm gonna put a Pika when you swear.
Okay, fine.
Pika. Right? See, it's like I just swore. Okay.
There's a Pokemon podcast I listen to, which of course tries to be family friendly. They always use Bulbasaur when someone swears because that Pokemon's name was banned when you played online because it is a swear word in some languages. I've never found out what language it is.
You'll have to, maybe I could use that if you want, but you have to remind me.
But no, I'd be stealing it from another podcast.
Yeah, okay. I was just gonna scream into the iPad and plug that on in.
Okay, you're not even going to just find a real Pikachu clip.
No, I'm gonna scream at myself.
Okay. We have to leave this in now so that the people who just heard that understand what had just happened.
I think we were talking about something else. Movie.
I was talking about how the fact that I couldn't imagine coming to it not already being familiar.
Oh.
But you seem to say...
Here, this movie is somewhat inoculized. You watch a lot of movies now and they throw way too much crap on the screen, right? So in a way, it's way too much crap on the screen. But even as someone who's not a Pokemon fan, I know, this has a long history. All of that stuff on the screen, probably says something.
Right.
or
And it
means
also-
something to somebody, right?
You're never meant to be looking at all of it. It's
Right.
just there to make you feel like you're in that world.
Yeah, it's there for people to notice who know what they're looking at.
But yeah,
And
but in
the rest
terms
of us look at the foreground and what's
Yeah.
happening in the movie.
And the foreground part I don't think was too complicated. It's basically just, here's a kid trying to find his dad with this
Yeah.
talking mouse. Although amusing, you didn't in your plot mention the fact that Pikachu could talk.
That's because this is the first time I've ever watched.
Yeah, that's
anything with
that's
Pikachu
why I
in it.
say it's interesting because in terms of Pokemon, that's the big twist of this one. But yeah, you wouldn't know. Weirdly, it ends up being more like Digimon than Pokemon, because in Digimon they just have one monster.
I've only
and
seen
all of them
Summer
can
Wars. All I've seen Summer Wars.
Don't worry, I'm making you watch Digimon soon.
Yeah.
When the bridge is back up, or the train at least.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. I there's enough of a story here to follow that I can like pinpoint, right?
Yeah.
Because you put on a big blockbuster and sometimes just a bunch of things blew up.
Right.
So here I'm like, okay, I can see where this kind of goes through kind of recent kids films like Zootopia. Well, Roger Rabbit's not recent, but that, and then of course, like real film noir. Like it has shades of that. Someone at least was paying enough attention to do that.
Did you notice the film noir film that is playing when he gets to his dad's apartment?
I did, but now I can't remember what it was.
It was Angels with Dirty Wings.
Oh, okay.
It's the fake film from Home Alone.
Oh, that's great. I didn't catch it that far, so.
Yeah, it's that film. I don't think I caught it myself, but I heard it, and then when I watched it again.
When you said that, I actually thought of the real film, Angels with Dirty Faces. Like, oh, now when did I watch that? I have a DVD of that. When did I watch it? So.
It's the fake one from Home Alone.
Okay. I can appreciate that. That makes sense here, at least.
Yeah, it's just a fun little...
So, how about your take on the story? I guess the main attraction here is not the story for you, but...
Yeah, I enjoyed the story enough. I think the main two characters carry it very well. Tim and Pikachu were both good at what they did. It's a very simple thing. From the first trailer, I could predict the ending. But yeah, I enjoyed the ride. But yeah, for me, it was more about here is a live action step into this world that I'd been imagining living in my entire memorable life. And yeah, there are, of course, because it does this whole here's the city where they live in harmony, there's no balls, no battles thing. It's not quite the Pokemon that I've been imagining, but still, this film understands what Pokemon is about. And it really felt like stepping into that world. So for me, it was very emotionally resonant.
And they had the underground battle arena, just to throw you a bone there.
Yeah. In that bit, the lines of commentary they were giving are from the N64 game.
Ah, yeah, I definitely didn't know that.
Of course not. If I have one big complaint with this film, it's that a few of the performances can't seem to decide whether they're in an actual film for adults or a real kids film.
Yeah, other than Ryan Reynolds, are there any other notable names in here?
Yeah, Max Clifford is... What's his chops? I can't remember his name. No, not Max, Howard Clifford.
Yeah, the older. Yeah, that's right.
I can't remember his name.
He had he usually didn't have long hair?
Maybe. He's Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. He's in Harry Potter. He's in loads of stuff.
Okay, I've seen him, but I'm not going to give you a name recognition then, so.
It'll hit me in a minute really annoyingly.
Anyway, it didn't strike me watching it. I mean,
Oh, really?
I just didn't notice, so.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. He's... the thing with that actor is he's like always in these films as like, here's the, veritable old actor to prove that this is a real film. But he's only ever been in trash films. Somehow he's got a career as, being the respectable actor, despite the fact that he only appears in cheesy stuff.
And we apparently don't have name recognition, so.
Yeah, I just mentally blanked, but I
Okay.
normally would remember his name.
You'll probably shout it out in like 20 minutes.
Yep, 100%.
The kid, Tim, I read his name this morning, and now I...
Justice Smith.
Oh, yeah.
How do you forget a name like Justice Smith?
Because I first saw it this morning.
Yeah.
He has a truck!
Kitagawa Co. Limited.
That's what the truck said. Okay, so Justice. He has one other notable credit, I believe, that I haven't seen.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know. That's why it's in the form of a question. Or
I'm only aware of him in this.
Okay, or he might be in production for something that looks like it might be a thing. So
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, he was pretty much an unknown before this film. I think he actually does a really good job.
He's
For the most part, he has to play like the straight man, but I think he does it well. And for the start of the film, he's playing a character who is trying not to admit who he is. So he has more depth than you'd expect for this kind of leading role who's just there to
they did
ask the obvious question.
They did paint that pretty broadly with he's already given up his youth at age 21.
Yeah.
They kind of make that known as hard as possible.
Also, they did what every film does, which is like, how do we show that this man has a boring life? He works in insurance.
Fight Club did it.
Yeah, Fargo, the TV show, does it. That's just like movie shorthand for your life sucks. You work in insurance.
Well, I guess that's what I mean with the broad brush.
But like, insurance is a pretty despicable industry, so I don't disapprove of it.
Here's a baiting question.
Yeah.
I had echoes of Ready Player One with the corporate, but maybe it's because the context is different, so it totally pisses you off there. And here it's about, relate your family and your Pokemon, because I just felt like the corporate thing, felt similar to me.
Oh, and that they tried to make the corporate the villain?
The way they went about doing it. And then that in Ready Player One, what's his name, created the Matrix thing, and I've already fleshed the names good for me.
Right.
Whereas in here, the villain created Rhyme City.
Right. But no one is fighting because they think Rhyme City is like the best thing ever. He didn't create Pokemon.
Right.
Also, Pokemon has a whole history of like corporate being the supervillains.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is about like harmony of nature, right?
Yeah.
Also, the film just didn't pretend to be anything smarter than it was. That's the thing.
That helps. Yeah, Ready Player One.
He is just a cheesy villain, right? I mean, admittedly, his plan wasn't pure like dominate the world evil, but it was really dumb.
Yes. Anyway, I just brought that up because that also flickered through my mind a bit. But the context is very different, so I wonder where you landed on that.
Right. Yeah, no. Didn't want me here. But yeah, then, so in the other, of course, Ryan Reynolds, just Ryan Reynolds all the way through the film.
Well, almost.
Yeah. How do you mean?
He's missing his F-bomb, but it is
Oh,
Pokemon.
right. Yeah. But he's mostly just doing history. He even makes like cocaine jokes. Then there's the female lead, Lucy Stevens, who I forgot the actress name. Catherine Newton is the actress. Mostly she's okay. In her first scene, she comes across terribly.
Yeah.
That was like she was auditioning for a whole different role on like children's TV.
Sorry, I'm having a little look. I think I might have written something along that.
You wrote like something like the acting at the start really blows or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Truck.
Okay. It's almost a quiet place here, except for
It's just trucks. It's not even like there's many cars going past.
Well, the state of emergency in Japan apparently is lifted today, so I guess they're shipping everything everywhere. That's my theory on that. Yeah, so for her, yeah, she's, I don't know if you noticed in my plot synopsis, I mentioned her a little late because she didn't really do anything before that.
Right.
And then the very last sentence, and she gets a job. It's like, oh crap, she is like the female lead. I probably need to mention her one more time.
But yeah, for the most part, she's just a plot device.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember coming out of the film thinking, she didn't really show herself as a very good actor. But she's in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is like a straight up masterpiece. Admittedly, she only has a very small role in it. But I'm like, maybe it was just bad direction. Or like I said, it felt like at first she thought she was in more of a kid's film.
Right.
And then later she tried to play a more sensible role. I mean, if I was being charitable, it'd be like, in that first scene, the character is trying to play the role of the reporter, but doesn't really understand it, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that, I wouldn't want to give them that much charity. I think that was just a crap scene.
That's good for the actors, isn't it? Okay.
I mean, yeah, Pikachu, those two. There's some bit parts, like the son of the baddie
He's barely there, right?
Barely there.
I guess because maybe that's also where I got like my Ready Player One vibes. That I know, re-twist. It's a twist.
Yeah. Then there was the guy in the nightclub. And then, who I think he's like a famous DJ or something. There's some reason he was in the film, but whatever. And then you've got Ken Watanabe doing exactly what he did in the recent Godzilla films, which is he's here to be the Japanese guy so that it's okay we're making an American.
No, I wrote, Ken's Japanese. That justifies everything.
Yep.
And that's also my synopsis. He's Ken Watanabe.
I've got a Pokemon card with him on it.
With his own name.
No, with his character.
Oh, I want to know with his
but
name.
It's actually the picture of Ken
Yeah.
Watanabe.
No, I think it should be his name. Okay.
Because I'm trying to collect the full Detective Pikachu set because they're pretty cool. So when we record these, Matt takes pretty detailed notes. And what we're going to do, he's going to read out all the notes he's made about Pokemon specifically. Because Matt doesn't know anything about Pokemons. And then me, the guy who's like a 23-year super fan and has a podcast about Pokemon, will try and answer his questions. So let's go.
Okay, here's the first one. I wrote this note and confused myself by writing, Cybok, wasn't he the duck in Star Trek V? So that's how that happened.
Right. Psyduck.
I know. I think I was making a joke, and then I actually reprogrammed my own knowledge. Okay. Is one Pokemon partner enough? Don't you need like 4 or something?
Yeah, that's the Rhyme City thing specifically, is you just have one partner.
Okay, so I did pick up on that. That's cool. So it's like a monogamous Pokeland.
Well, because they don't have the balls and the battling and stuff, they just live in harmony. Because it was all a plot, so they could combine them at the end.
Ah, okay. We don't really stick fingers in Pikachu, do we?
You type any Pokemon's name into Google Images and scroll down a bit. Literally any Pokemon.
Okay. So that was like a in-joke. Okay.
I mean, they're just talking about people poking him because he's cute, but
Yeah,
people stick fingers in their Pokemon.
Okay.
And more than fingers.
Okay. The mediator between the head and the hands must be the understanding of Pika Pika. So,
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the plot of this film.
So
Because at the end, like, what Pikachu tries to teach him is that the mediator is the heart because they understand the feelings. So that kind of does actually hold up.
my point being, that means like in all of Pokemon anime and such before this, that means there's always saying like deep, profound things and no one ever hears
It's only because in this case, as we find out, there is a human mind trapped in there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. See, I certainly can't get to those details. So Pikachu would not want to go on our long walks.
He is very small.
Okay, I just wonder if it was something about being a Pokemon, like they can't travel far or something. Because he's like, 1 step for you is 1,000 for me, which could be an exaggeration, but it could be an actual thing about Pokemon movement. I don't know.
Because his legs are like 2 inches long.
Yeah, I know. Okay, it was just making sure it was a joke and not something that, because they usually go around in your little ball, right?
Only once you've caught them. They live in the wild before that.
Okay. Mr. Mime isn't as cool as Muppet Man.
That is true, though. Like I mean, most films these days, the characters are just fully CG, right? But I miss animatronics and puppets and stuff.
Do you know what I mean by Muppet Man?
Muppet Man specifically?
Yes.
Oh, who's Muppet Man?
And the, I guess 2011 now movie, The Muppets, they need Miss Piggy to join them for their reunion show. And she's like the fashion editor in Paris. So they go and she won't talk to them. So they get a big coat and like, one Muppet's leg and look it up online if you don't know Muppet Man.
I have seen this film, but I don't remember Muppet Man.
Muppet Man's hysterical. So
Okay.
I just felt like the way Muppet Man...
That film is hilarious.
Yeah.
I really like that film.
No, just the way Muppet Man and Mr. Mime moved seemed kind of like similar to me.
So
Muppet Man because he's like falling apart all over himself, but
I
itself.
legit loved that Mr. Mime scene. But I'm a big silent comedy fan. Like,
No, I did too. He's not as cool as Muppet Man.
but are you going to read the note about their interrogation technique?
Is he going to waterboard Mr. Mime? Oh, this is going dark fast. Gasoline!
That was great.
That was great. Yeah. No, of course I'm going to read that one. Okay. I bet the CIA effectively interrogates people this way.
By miming being in a cube.
This is
No, they
pretty
make
much
you
how,
listen to Dixie.
this is pretty much how I remember late 90s raves.
I mean, the late 90s, I was 9, so I wasn't going to any raves. But
Mine were
it's pretty much how I remember the UK club scene, yeah.
Yeah, mine were in Georgia, man. I wrote. Granted, I never went to the UK ones, or the UK, or Ibiza, so it was like, Georgia raves, come on in, y'all gonna have a hoedown. Yeehaw! That was like that, right?
No, ours, it's mostly like American music, and then the British DJ like, yo, we having fun tonight?
Yeah, I wrote dubstep. Pikachu!
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he's written.
Okay.
That's when you've got the Loudreds doing the weird like mouth speakers.
Yeah. I see a lot of things differently in my head, but don't doubt Magikarp. Who is Magikarp?
The fish then turns into the
No,
Gyarados.
I mean just in the Zyga. You taught me and I forgot again.
Oh, people talk about magic. If you have like a character in a game who is weak at the start, but if you stick with it, they're like the most powerful one. People call it the Magikarp.
Oh, it's a game reference, it's not Pokemon.
That is a Pokemon.
Okay.
And in other games, they reference it based on that Pokemon.
Ah, and
It's like the OG of that.
So Magikarp gets you arrested, I suppose.
If you destroy a club by turning a fish into a dragon, you probably would get arrested. Well, and just because they were at the underground fight ring, right?
Right. Do Pokemon die with their masters, like the servants of the pharaohs, buried with them in pyramids? Although no one's buried in the pyramids. But anyway, you get the general vibe. Okay. That's just a weird line again. Okay.
No, it's just because they were both in the same car.
Right.
And it crashed.
No, sometimes I just don't know if Ryan Chu is making a joke or like actually referencing something about Pokemon. So there's something. Sometimes I don't know if he's just being snarky or actually referencing something.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's. I guess that would be my greatest sort. Truck. That would be like my greatest source of confusion with this film.
Right.
I escaped from the Kanto region. Shinshu real. Is Shinshu a region in Pokemon?
Nah, there's Kanto and Kansai.
Obviously.
Then there's one that's basically Kyushu.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Hokkaido.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was New York.
Is that in Japan?
No, they moved out of Japan after that. There was New York. Then it was France. Then it was Hawaii, and now it's Britain.
Okay. Oh, Britain. And we're on a surprisingly sparse country lane, people. What's happening? We're really in the middle of nowhere, except for this road nearby. I need to understand Mewtwo, I think. And I think I said Me Too the first few times as well.
Yeah, Mewtwo is, from the original games, he was the most powerful one. And it's like a Pokemon that's made in a lab. The first movie is the Mewtwo movie. He's just a very powerful psychic Pokemon who hates humans because they made him as a weapon.
He hates the humans. Okay, got you. So he's kind of the villain unless it's with other Pokemon.
In the first film, it was like he wants to wreak revenge on the world because of his terrible creation. But by the end of the film, he learns, like, it is not the circumstances of one's birth, it is what you do with the gift of life. So it's pretty weird that in this version, he's just been floating around as a villain for 20 years, and then he met Ryan Reynolds and became a good guy.
Speaking of which, once we have Tim doing more Poke-positive stuff, would this chase all be going better with like a real practiced trainer? He's basically just winging it.
Maybe. But, like, he was a trainer as a kid, so he should have some kind of idea.
Yeah, but you erase most of those trucks. You erase most of the trucks with insurance work, I think.
Probably, yeah. Talking as someone who worked in a mind-crushing job in a supermarket for 10 years, you forget everything.
Yeah, so I thought I'd be a little out of practice is my point.
Yeah.
So, how many Pokemon... Oh, this kind of responds to when you were asking me about seeing all the stuff on the screen. How many Pokemon do we need to be satisfying? I seriously don't know, so any number here is fine.
Wow, okay, right. So, for the first 7 generations of the video games, every Pokemon was in every game. So they add more each time, but you can bring in all the old ones. For the most recent games, which was like the first one, it's in HD, it's a new machine, they're trying to change it up, they want to balance the gameplay. They only had 400 Pokemon. And it's one of the biggest cluster... Pika! That's still just basically swearing, isn't it? Just do the Pikachu again. I've ever seen on Twitter. Like, hashtag bring back the national decks, hashtag they lied, death threats. And like most people, when you play through the game, you just use the new ones, and then you never get around to bringing old ones in anyway. It didn't affect most of these people, but they've gone mental over it. And like, don't get me wrong, I prefer it if you could always have every Pokemon, but it is getting unrealistic. They're going to be over 1,000 soon.
Well, you can't discriminate against a Pokemon just because you personally don't like them.
Right, but they said, like, so in each game, we'll change up which ones we are. So no one is gone forever. Pretty sure Jinx is gone forever.
I do remember our chat about Jinx.
So yeah, people are not satisfied unless every single Pokemon is accounted for. But no, in something like this, I think they did a good job. For someone like me, you do notice that the same ones are propping up a lot of times. But I'm sure for most normal people, you don't really notice that. Because they had like 60 odd.
I think we've talked about cigarettes and beer bear on the podcast before. Is that right?
Cigarettes and beer bear?
Yeah. Growing up in Georgia in the 80s, like, like lots of everyone's smoking everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Drinking. Like, you'd always go to your friend's house. And this is when I was a little kid, like 4, 5, 6. And they'd have like the little teddy bear with kind of the floopy skin, like it's not smooth or... And it always smelled like cigarettes and beer because it just like piled up around the house. So
right,
we were talking, we named it Cigarettes and Beer Bear.
Okay.
Would that make a good Pokemon? Anyway, Wet Pikachu in this movie made me think of Cigarettes and Beer Bear.
Okay. See, the smell of cigarettes just reminded me of my grandparents' house, but not so much beer, thankfully.
Yeah. No, it wasn't even like clearly beer. It's just think of like again. I think I mentioned in the last.
Just like a musty old bear in a recycle shop smell.
Yeah, and then the certain kind of fur on this teddy bear
Yeah.
would come out, like particularly smelling like a truck.
Logitech.
A Logitech truck, yeah. So
This one is going to be horrendous to listen to.
we'll see. Those were my notes, by the way.
Okay, that's your notes on the Pokemons.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions you wanted to throw my way about Pokemons?
I think I would have put it in the notes if it was on my mind, so that's what we're rolling with for the time being.
So here's a weird thing, which I noticed in this and Spider-Man Homecoming, where they cast an actor of mixed race to throw you off that the white guy is their dad.
Oh, right.
But in the game, Tim's white. And obviously Ryan Reynolds is right. So they thought, ooh, let's throw them off the twist by having a black kid with a black mum. So you don't think coming as white dad. And then in Spider-Man Homecoming, it's Liz Allen and her dad's the Vulture. But you don't see it coming because she's not white. I don't know. It just occurred to me that two films about a year apart pulled that same cheap trick.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. I mean, there is the trend, just more diversity on screen. That's
Which is
cool.
good. I'm
Yeah.
obviously all for that.
Yeah,
Just that particular little...
Just, it is a...
Which, I guess, you can say, well, it is showing me my own prejudice that I didn't think that she would be his son. Of course, like in this one, I knew it from, like I said, from the opening scene. You know what the ending of this film is, but...
Yeah. Well, my daughter's mixed race, so people sometimes see her and then see me like, what?
Yeah.
So I get that. I can be in the next film they pull that twist.
Yeah. But yeah, it just occurred to me that it happened twice very close together with like big summer blockbuster movies. And I was like, huh, does that say something about me or does that say something about what the films are doing?
Yeah. I did, just to tie your 2 points together, I did have just a quick thought of Miles Morales go through my head. Because I'm used to seeing the, Disney style Ash Poke Trainer, or Satoshi, I should say, because we're in Japan. But I'm used to that, right? So it's kind of that, we go from Peter Parker to Miles Morales, and go from Ash, who might be Japanese or not, to this dude. So
There is in like that opening video they watch on the train, it shows like the Pokemon battle, and there's a Japanese kid in a baseball cap who you could, if you want, think it is implied to be like Red or Satoshi or whatever.
I think I did catch that because that is pretty much among the most iconic imagery from the whole thing. So
Yeah.
someone like me will actually pick up on it.
Right.
So there's a reference I did pick up on. I guess maybe that's where I was like, I wonder how many references are just going right by me.
I also noticed most of the Pokemon with prominent roles in this are also the ones you can play in Smash Brothers. Pikachu, Charizard, Greninja, Jigglypuff was in there.
Okay. Oh, I definitely remember playing as Jigglypuff. See, I played Jigglypuff in Brawl and probably never even figured out that I was playing with a Pokemon.
When we played yesterday, won a round as Jigglypuff. Felt pretty proud of myself.
I thought, this will make you laugh. I actually thought that Jigglypuff was from a Kirby game.
He does look a bit Kirby.
Yeah, I know.
And I think in Smash they pretty much just copies Kirby's moveset and gave him a couple different moves.
That's why I think I assumed Jigglypuff was actually from Kirby. So, so it tells you how much I know. And the last one I did was Brawl, so if
Right.
it had more sense, then I wouldn't really be familiar with them anyway.
But I think it's just that they put the most popular ones in Smash Brothers, and they also put the most popular ones in this, which makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. I mean, again, it's like the Justice League. There's been a lot, you don't put Booster Gold and the Blue Beetle in because people want Superman, Batman.
Right. Although I would much rather watch it.
Oh, I would love to see the Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie, but it's not, you'd really have to Guardian as a Galaxy sell that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they'd have to bring out like Justice League West or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Is that the end of your point?
Yeah, just an interesting little thing I noticed.
So this came out a year ago, is it?
Yeah.
Is it like still primetime Pokemon content, or is it kind of faded away?
It doesn't seem to have stayed in the conversation much. I watched it thrice at the cinema, once when it came out on DVD and once again last night, and it's still pretty magical for me every time.
Right. So there are fans that definitely carry this one along, but it's not in the big conversation necessarily.
Well, at the end of last year we had a new game, and that obviously has more. There's more to talk about there among actual Pokemon fans, and I guess among movie fans they're not going to be talking about this too much. So there's not loads of conversation about it now.
Yeah. Well, for what I was going to say, you say something.
Okay, so for me, this film feels really special because for my generation, I feel like this is all we're going to get. Like, in terms of the 80s nostalgia, we've had so many films, right? Transformers, G.I. Joe, all the Marvel and DC stuff. But sort of the 90s stuff, because it never really went away. Like, there has been Pokemon ever since Pokemon started. There's been Power Rangers since Power Rangers started. Harry Potter, there's been since... So, the sort of... It was there, it went away for a bit, and it comes back and you get that nostalgia one. We're not getting that.
Right.
And also, like, my whole generation has been, like, deliberately infantilized. Like...
And mine's
that's
been
when you
beaten
kill
over the head
infants.
with it, so...
Yeah, but, like... We're never going to own houses. We're never going to have kids. Like... So, we've never been told, oh, by the way, you're officially adults now. Which I know no other generation really is. But all the symbols of an adult for previous generations were not really available to my generation.
Yeah.
So we don't get like this, now we're an adult and we can look back on our childhood moment. And like, I don't know how well this film did. Maybe we won't get any more live action Pokemon films. I hope we do. But there was just that brief moment. The scene that really does it for me, which probably didn't do anything for you, is when Pikachu's injured and he talks to the Bulbasaur to get help. And she's like, they don't understand you. And he's like, no, they understand how I feel. And for me, when I'm imagining living in that world, which I have done every day since I was 8, that's how it is. Kids often ask me why are you so into Pokemon. Part of it is because growing up, I didn't have pets. I didn't have that many friends. So those little, like, 40 by 40 sprites on my Game Boy screen were my pets and my friends. And this film showed me that world that I wanted to live in. So I don't think it's the best film ever. I don't think it's a great film. But it was an introduction to a universe that I want to spend more time in. And particularly that it came out right after Endgame, which pretty much put a full stop on a universe that I'd been enjoying spending time in. I don't know. It felt like a big deal to me.
Okay. Sorry, I was seeing what I wrote at that moment on my own notes. Bring back you to school. They pick up.
Probably nothing because you didn't bring it up in your Pokemon bit.
Oh, okay. I said he was.
Oh, you just had like. Oh wait,
Mortal.
is Mewtwo to a good guy or a bad guy?
I just couldn't work. I guess he's not a guy at all. He's a
Yeah.
artificially evolved Pokemon. Would it be?
He was. Well, he's just grown in a tube.
Okay, not evolved. Just
Yeah, he's a
grown.
clone from
Okay,
me.
so if I got that a little off, oops. But yeah, as a guy coming completely in from the outside, it's fine. I saw the Power Rangers movie a few years ago for some reason. That's all the Power Rangers I've ever seen too. I definitely.
That one was underrated, I feel.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but
It felt like it had an emotional core, which I wasn't expecting going in.
But that one really kind of expected you to have some Power Ranger familiarity.
Yeah, because it didn't really do anything new.
Whereas, like,
And it only had like 10 minutes of Power Rangers in it.
yeah,
and 20 minutes of Krispy Kreme product placement.
right. But this one had enough. I mean, it has to have all the Pokemon references, obviously, but it had other references. So they were at least trying to attract the movie fan with by having a well-known film trope and structure and all that sort of stuff.
I definitely feel like this one had a bit more money and talent behind it. Like Rob Letterman is like a real director and stuff. Ryan Reynolds is a big name. So yeah, they were trying to make a film for people who watch films, not just a quick buck off an old toy property.
Right. Any other big points you want to make? I think I've
still can't remember his name, and it's really doing my head in.
Yeah. And we have no service. We just can't check. See, usually we're just, there it is. But
yep.
And we're somewhere with no service.
And yet there's been 10 trucks over the course of this podcast.
Yeah.
And none of them had Mew underneath.
Anyway, if you want to talk about trucks with us, where do you do that?
You can go to www.trucks.com with 2 X's.
Is this the audience you want to tell that to?
You can find this podcast on Twitter at MLSFS43. You might be hearing this without having subscribed to Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary, in which case, thanks for sticking with it. You can find this podcast, search on your podcast app, Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. We talk about a different science fiction film every week. Normally, it's not quite as family-friendly as this. Me and Matt use the naughty words from time to time. And of course, it's not often about Pokemon because Matt doesn't know anything about Pokemon. But yeah, check it out. Have a little scroll through. See if there's something that takes your interest. And if you are listening to this on the main Matt and Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary feed, you can check out my Pokemon podcast from our Pokemon chat by going on Twitter at LukeLovesPKMN or searching for Luke Loves Pokemon on your podcasting app of choice.
You got through all of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I'm turning into a real shill. And if you like the music you've heard this episode, you can check out Matt's music at rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com.
I don't know what I'm going to put in this one. Well,
have you got some like electro stuff?
Yeah, sure.
I think this film did have like some nice synthy music here and there.
Yeah, okay. We'll go electro, like Jamie Foxx with 2 X's.
Spider-Man is my enemy.
Okay. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm going to say. How do we end it today?
I love Pokemon. And remember, I love you too. That's how I end my other one.
Next week, Interstellar.
ice-cold barreling waters, hurtling thick layers of foam, deep water, nutmeg thick. Descent into the maelstrom, dragged into the bastard ocean wilderness, suction like tentacles looming hard, into grey-black pearly waters. The grinding constriction, the inescapable throat, the universe shrinks to a crushing pipe. Frozen in light, behind dim red shades, the rebuilding of biological architecture, and spirit returns from its walking. Into the spiraling labyrinth, life or death, game's just a name. Ocean melts to desert's flame, returning home the way we came.